Hello guys, welcome back to Django Hub. Today we are going to cover Bootstrap Alerts. In our previous sessions we already worked on different components of Bootstrap, and today we are working on Bootstrap Alerts. So open our Bootstrap documentation, the official website, and then click on documentation and then components. Till here, the content, layout, and till here we already covered in my previous sessions. If you missed those sessions, I already shared the links of those sessions in the description of this video, or else you can simply open YouTube and search for Django Hub. Django Hub. You will find my channel. Here you can find the previous videos and all other sessions. All right. Okay, great. So today we are going to learn about Bootstrap Alerts. Bootstrap Alerts provides an easy way to create predefined alert messages. As you know, what is meant by alerts? Alerts is a simple notifications, right? So whenever you're working with web applications or website, you want to tell your end user that some action has to be taken place, or some notification you have to inform the end user. Alerts we use to show the information that requires immediate attention of the end users, such as warning, error, confirmation messages. With Bootstrap, we can easily create alert messages for various purposes. For instance, if you take an example, whenever you save a record, we have to display a message that the record is saved. Or whenever you are trying to log in a sign-up form, on a login form, whenever the user enters his credentials, username and password, if the login is succeeded, you have to show that the login was succeeded. Or if you type some error, we have to show an error that the username and password is wrong. Or even in web application, when you are saving a record or editing or updating, especially in CRUD operations, create, update, delete. So in such operations, we have to tell the end user that every action has been succeeded or failed, or it has so many exceptions like that. Alright, so let's go back to our IDE. So I'm opening the pie chart. Alright, it's opening now. Loading the components. Great, now the IDE is opened, and let's start our server to see where we are. In our previous sessions, we already discussed about Bootstrap image, code, and tables as well. Great, in the tutorials we have templates we already created, that is tables.html. And as you know, the tutorials is our project and library is our app, our Django app. And we created views for these tables, and we also created a path in URLs. Alright, let's open our link. And in our previous sessions we created tables and images, right? This is our previous session. This is where we stop. So that's where we created the path tables. Alright, as we are discussing about alerts, let's create a new template called alerts. New templates, alerts. Alerts. Alright, and mention the title as Bootstrap Alerts. Alright, so whenever you mention a template, we have to create a view to render this template. So I am creating a view for this, div alerts. This is a function based view, a simple view. Return, and we are telling to render this template. Template name is, as we created now, alerts.html. Let's copy this name and then paste it here. Alright, now the view is ready. So how we can call this view? By creating a path in urls.py. So let's create a resource path. So what do you mean by resource path? So whenever you want to access any template, so we need a view, right? So to access this view, we need a resource path that is called an URL. That's I'm going to initialize here. So I'm giving as alerts. For alerts, I'm telling whenever the URL will find a path like this, I'm telling go and fetch this view, views.alerts. This is the view we created just now, that is alerts. I mentioned the name here. Alright, and I'm mentioning the name as alerts. Great. So the URL is ready and the view is ready and the template is ready. So let's access this URL. How we can access? We have to mention alerts. So to access this resource for the base URL, we have to add alerts. Alright. Have you seen the title? It's clearly mentioned Bootstrap Alerts. Great. So whenever you are working with Bootstrap Alerts, the first thing we should be care about our styles, Bootstrap styles and JavaScripts. So is it loaded or not? I already explained in my previous videos how to import the styles and JavaScripts of Bootstrap into Django project, and also I explained in another session how to register static files. So in that I explained how to register static directories in settings.py. So if you missed those sessions, kindly have a look into those. So for this session we need a styles now. So I already imported the styles in static. Inside the CSS we have Bootstrap CSS and Bootstrap min, and inside JS also we have JS and minified JS and standard JS. Alright, so in our templates, if you open the previous template tables.html, here we already used a style sheet and the JavaScript of Bootstrap. So I'm taking a copy of this too and I'm just mentioning here. And as usual here, don't forget to load the static. Load static. Great. So now we already imported the style sheets and JavaScripts required for alerts.html. So we use Bootstrap minified CSS. This is recommended for production usage, but if you are in dev or in learning, I strongly recommend to use bootstrap.css. The reason minified CSS will use that is only for mission usable. It will increase the speed of execution and also will reduce the size of the file. Alright, so as usual, before we are starting working, just we have to create a container. Class is equal to container, and then the class is equal to row, and as usual we have to create the class is equal to column. Great, so let's keep some heading for it. So what is the heading for this one? Is Bootstrap Alerts. Alright, so go back to the documentation. Here you will find, have you seen the examples? These are the examples. It has different colors. This is primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info, light, and dark. So what is these names? So whenever you want a Bootstrap element in this color, have you seen here lightish blue? So if you want something to appear in this color, you have to use a class called primary. I will show you in our example. And if you want like this, a gray, light gray, you have to use a class secondary. And as usual, the next is for green. If you want to use this green color, such a notification in a green background, you have to use success. And also the next is danger, and then warning, and then info, and light, and dark. So let's copy this code and check how it is going to work in our template. Have you seen here the class alert? But have you seen alert primary? So alert primary is referring to this class, this style. So this is called primary. So when you want a style something, the alert is like this gray, you have to use secondary. So where it mentioned here, alert secondary. And also the alert success. Have you seen here alert success? So before we are copying, just quickly look into the tags. Have you seen the div class? As usual, we know in HTML for every block we are going to use div. And class, we are telling that this is a alert of Bootstrap. What do you mean by alert here? The class here is referring to one or more CSS attributes from Bootstrap styles. We imported the Bootstrap styles here. You see css.bootstrap.min.css. Inside this file, there is a class called alert and alert primary also. These two classes have one or more CSS attributes. Alright, and the role alert. Whenever we use a JavaScript, we are assigning the role as alert. Great. So for different styles here from different colors on the top, we use a different classes. Almost every style tag is same except the class here. Alert primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info, light and dark. Except this class, these all are same. So based on the theme or based on the color which you are interested, you have to use the respective class. For instance, whenever you show a success message, so we always use success a green. So this block, this color we are going to use to display the success message. So whenever there is a warnings or some information you are telling as a warning to the end user, you have to use this type of color. And when there is an error, we have to use a class with danger alert, this section. And any other information you can use general, this primary, secondary and other things. So let's copy the code from here and go back to our container and let's press Ctrl V. Don't forget Ctrl Alt L to maintain the indent and to format the code. Great. So let's go back to our alerts template and refresh it. Have you seen now? We haven't mentioned any styles, right? We haven't mentioned color, we haven't mentioned anything. Just we are referring the Bootstrap object. So the alert and alert primary, these are the classes referring to Bootstrap styles. And these classes has one or more CSS attributes. Great. So we already run all type of blocks here and each with a different style and different color. Great. So let's move on. So when you go next, for example, a link color, what it means. So whenever you display something here as a message or as a notification, you want to add some hyperlink to some of the words in this or entire link. So how we can achieve that? That we can achieve simply by mentioning the class here called alert link. So what is the difference between this link section and the above section? Have you seen in the above section we don't find any hyperlinks in this alerts? Have you seen this alert message? There is no hyperlink, right? So in the below section it's almost similar, only we have to add this anchor tag with a class alert link. So let's do this. So inside our code, for example, this is the simple primary alert checkout. I want to add an hyperlink here. So I mentioned a tag and I want to bound it that to till check. And here you can mention any hyperlink here. I'm just mentioning ash, that is referring to the same page. And here I'm mentioning the class as alert link. Have you seen the alert link? Copy and then paste it here. Let's go back to our template and refresh now. Have you seen now the earlier and now it's become into bold, and you see the cursor also has been changed as a hyperlink. So this is how we can define a hyperlink inside the alert messages. So if you want the end user want to see the detailed information about that error, we can provide a hyperlink and assign the path to href attribute. Or we can do other sections as well. For example, this primary alert checkout. So if you want to change the color of it, we can simply do that by assigning another class here, that is text primary. Though it is already primary, so let's make it text danger. Let's refresh. Have you seen now the color has been changed to different? So how the red color has been changed here? Have you seen we don't mention anything red here, we mentioned as a danger. As I said earlier, the beauty of Bootstrap is that we can use the same names for entire elements, for paragraphs, for typography and different, wherever you use, you can simply change the color of that by using this names: primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info. So whenever you are referring these names, the Bootstrap will assign the color to that element as it is. For example, if you assign a primary, it will assign this color to the respective tag. In simple words, we can say that the primary is matched to this color and secondary is matched to gray and success is matched to green. So while you are working with Bootstrap, you should keep in your mind that whenever you want such kind of color, you have to use a primary. So this is the name of this color. We can assume like that. And the secondary is the name of this color. And success as well for this green, danger for red, so on. Alright. Great. So let's move on. We already work on this and we already mentioned the link color as well. And what's next? The next. Have you seen the additional content? Of course, whenever we have to show the instructions or a success page with more details, you have to mention this additional content. So how to create such a beautiful additional content? So let's copy this content and then create a new section here. This is the row and this is the column. Let's create a new container for this. So div class container and then div class is equal to row and as usual and column. The row and column always comes together. Okay, keep that in your mind. So here let's paste the code which you copied from here. Let's paste there and let's make a heading for this as additional content. So I'm giving here heading as h3 additional content. Alright, now let's go back to the template and refresh the page. Have you seen now the additional content, how beautifully it's appeared this message? Well done, and it's come with light green. But as per the Bootstrap terminology, this color we are referring by calling the class success. Let's check. Have you seen here alert success? It means it's complete div, this block, the complete block, the background color is success. So why don't you change to different color? So how many colors are there for Bootstrap? As we seen here, we have primary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 colors we have. So we can simply call any of the class like primary or secondary or success. Have you seen they use the success here? If you observe it carefully, alert success, that's why this block appeared in the green. That's the reason we use the class success. So why don't you use secondary? Let's copy this secondary and check here. Instead of success, just replace with secondary and now refresh the template. Oh, have you seen now the color has been changed? The color is affected with the secondary, that is light gray. Whereas if you want primary, just simply go back and change here to primary and refresh the template. Done. So this is how we can change the colors. And even here also, if you want to add any hyperlink for the respective word or sentence, we can add simply as, for example, I'm going to add anchor tag here until import message href. I'm referring to any link we can mention here in class. As we discussed earlier, we have to mention the class as alert link. So I'm going to mention the class as alert link. Refresh now. Have you seen? Now the hyperlink is appeared and the cursor also has been changed and the color also changed. If you want a different color, for example, I want this color to be a warning. So you can take that color warning. Though it is a text, you should give text hyphen warning. Now let's refresh. Yes, have you seen the color has been changed to the warning? So it's not looks appealing, so I want to make it as info. So let's copy info and change warning to info. Great. So next move on. What's the next? So we already work on additional content. Yes, dismissing. This is the where it's interesting part. Till now what we have seen is just to know what is the different styles and different type of colors in messages. But let's work on our real-time errors, how to display the errors, how to dismiss automatically, or how to dismiss manually by a human action. That we will discuss now. So let's create a section called dismissing. So copy the dismissing and let's make a different container for it to understand it better. So I want to make this comment as add additional content. This is the previous one, and here I want to make a different section for this. Because it's just to make you understand, right? Because in real scenarios it's up to you, you can use or you cannot use. That's okay. Div class is equal to container, and then div class is equal to row, and as visual div class is equal to column. And let's paste this code which we copied here. Let's copy this one and paste it here. Control Alt L to maintain the indent and format the code. Alright, so here we can mention heading for this, that is dismissing message. Okay, so let's go back and refresh. Have you seen now? So what is dismissing messages? If you observe carefully, at the end of this block, have you seen an X mark with whenever you keep a mouse on it, a cursor has been changed to hand? That means that it is stating that some action can be performed here. So when you click on this X, it has to be dismissed, right? So if you see, observe the below blocks, we don't find this X mark at the end. So let's close it. But have you seen, it doesn't work. The reason why, see, if you inspect this one by right click, because I'm using Edge, if you are using Chrome you can go to tools and click on inspect. When you click on inspect and go to console, have you seen, it is stating clearly the error is Bootstrap JavaScript requires jQuery. It's a very clearly mentioned that jQuery must be included before Bootstrap JavaScript. So let's refresh. Have you seen? It's stating this error clearly because we haven't included or imported jQuery to our template, right? We have Bootstrap min and Bootstrap min.js. In order to use Bootstrap min.js, I mean Bootstrap JavaScript, we have to use jQuery as well. So let's download the jQuery. So go back to browser, open Google and simply mention jQuery. That's it. Open this jQuery and here you will find, or simply you can mention jQuery download. Alright, this is the latest version. Download the compressed and production jQuery. So right click here and save link as and mention as I already downloaded, and mention the name whatever it is and click jQuery and click save. Though I'm already downloaded, it is asking to overwrite, so simply click yes. Great, so now the jQuery is ready. It is in my downloads. This is the jQuery file. Just copy it and go back to your Django. This is your static directory, and go to JS directory and here right click and paste it. Refactor. Alright. Have you seen now inside JS we have Bootstrap JS and we have jQuery JS also. So let's add this JS to our template. So how I can do that? Here go back to header section of alerts.html, that is here. Here just simply we have to mention script and src is equal to, I already explained how to map a static style sheet or JavaScripts from our static directory in my previous sessions. So to understand what this is doing, kindly have a look into my previous sessions. So js/ and what is the name of this? jQuery.js. jQuery.js. Alright. So now we already mapped jQuery to our alerts.html. Now go back to the template and let's refresh and check. I'm sure it will display the error again because I purposely did that to make you understand. Have you seen here, jQuery must be included before Bootstrap JavaScript. It means that just now what we added, we have to add this one before Bootstrap JavaScript. So let's do that. Here, have you seen the Bootstrap JavaScript is here. So we have to include this one before this JavaScript. Let me tell you why. Because why it has to be executed before this one. The reason, whenever you render this page, render this template from the browser will start looking for your resources from top to down. So it will start downloading the first and then the meta information and then style sheets and then scripts and then next. That's why we have to maintain from top to down. So Bootstrap min.js has used the classes of jQuery. That's why it's strongly recommended to use the jQuery before this. And why the error is appeared? Because the Bootstrap min.js has used some functions or methods belongs to jQuery. For example, if you run this script before the jQuery, the browser will not find that specific function or method. That's why it raises an exception here. Alright, that's why it's an objective to jQuery detection, and it's stating clearly that we have to use before that. In some cases, it will show that the variable or function not found. So it's always the better practices. We have to use jQuery in the beginning and then the bootstrap.min.js. So no need to confuse here. The reason it's throwing an error because the bootstrap min.js has used the functions and methods of jQuery. That's why we have to mention jQuery before this one, before the bootstrap. Alright, so now refresh this page. Have you seen now? It's gone. Very nice, right? Now there is no error. So when I click on this X button, it should dismiss automatically. So let's click. Have you seen? It dismissed. Refresh again and just click here, it dismissed. Great. For example, if you want to change this color from yellow to different one, we can do that simply by go to this section and change this one to, for example, success. Click refresh. Have you seen? The color has been changed. Or we can change it to danger. It will bring, whenever you want to display error, you can use danger. Alright. So yes, it's closing. But there are some cases when you want to hide this message automatically. For example, when you are filling an application and after you save, it will display the success message as the application has been saved successfully, and the message will appear like this. So instead of closing manually, we want to tell the system to close it automatically. So it should appear for a few seconds and then it will dismiss automatically. So how we can do that? That we can achieve by jQuery by creating small function. For example, here I'm creating script. The script files or customized script files I always recommend to keep on the bottom of the HTML, that is before the closing tag of the body. I will explain that in upcoming sessions. So here what we have to do is the dollar is referring to jQuery and I am stating that let's say that document dot ready, and the document is ready and we are telling to run this function. So in this function what we are going to define, say that here we want to dismiss this block, right? This block we want to dismiss it after 5 seconds or 3 seconds. So I want to create an ID that is alert1, and for this we have to create a small script that is dollar and referring to, so ash is referring to ID of the element, so the ID is alert1, that's what alert1, and whenever you mention dot is referring to the class. So keep that in your mind. When there is ash means referring to ID and dot means referring to class. So here I use the ID, that's why ID is alert1. Here I want to use an animation that is fade to, and I'm giving it 10 seconds. time and 500, and the animation I'm giving slide up, speed I'm mentioning 500, and the function I'm going to define here is, inside this function just simply mention $, and referring to that ID, that is alert1 dot, what animation you're in, slide up or slide down, there is different kind of things are there with, so I'm using here slide up and mentioning it's 500. Alright, so what it is going to do, whenever the document is ready, that's what I'm saying, document is ready means when this all the content is loaded, till the script tag, all the content is loaded, I mean when the HTML is fetches all the resources, then it will execute this script. What dot alert1, that is referring to this block. And animation I'm using, I'm telling that fade to 2000, that is the time, and the 500 is the speed, that is I'm giving slide up function. So in this slide up function, what I'm telling that the alert1 block has to slide up and the speed is 500. Alright, now let's refresh and check. Refresh now. Have you seen? It's dismissed, right? Let's close this one. We don't find any errors. Refresh now. The message appeared, but after 2 seconds it's disappear. Great. We can extend this time also. For example, if you want to keep it for 5 seconds, let's keep here 5 and then refresh. It will be there for 5 seconds. Have you seen now? It's a little lengthy now. Alright. So this is how we can hide the messages automatically. For example, it doesn't look like good appealing, so let's make it success message and give the content as the page has been loaded successfully. Page has been loaded successfully. So this is information message, right? For information message, we no need to keep it continuously. Just it can pop up, and after 3-4 seconds it can dismiss it, right? So alright, let's refresh now. Have you seen now it's come in green, just information message, and then it will dismiss after 5 seconds. Great. So this is how you can dismiss the messages. Alright, in some circumstances we want to display the message depends on an event. For instance, when you're submitting a form or when you're getting a data or verifying the data in the backend. So there is event, right? So based on the event you want to display the message. So how we can do that? Let's do a small example. Let's create a new container and I'm making a comment as event message. So based on the event, the message will change. Let's see, div class is equal to container, and then div class is equal to row, and div class is equal to column. Alright, so here we want to display the message. Let's make a heading that event messages. Alright, this is the heading, and here let's take a copy of this or go to our code and let's take a copy of one of this alert message. Let's take copy and paste it here and remove this. Instead of alert1, just I want to show the ID as, name the ID as status. Alright, and I don't want to use strong tag here, just I will use b tag and I will mention ID is equal to status message, MESSAG status message. Alright, so let's run this one and see how it looks. Okay, great, the event message appeared and it is showing an empty block, right? Because we haven't mentioned anything. Okay, great. Here inside this row, let's create another row as an example for events. Div class is equal to row, and then div class is equal to call, and this row we created for events. Alright, inside this let's create some buttons. Say that each button has an event. So button 1, this is check, for instance, server status, and the button, second button, say that validate the data. Third button, just take an example, same as form submission for example. Of course we don't have form here because this session is related to alerts only, so I'm not going to discuss anything about forms and validations. So those sessions will be in next episodes. So in upcoming sessions we will discuss about how to create the forms and how to display the validation errors by using Bootstrap Alerts. Okay, so don't worry, here I'm not discussing anything about the form, just I'm telling an example for example as a form submission. So there are 3 events here. Event 1 will check the server status, event 2 will check the validate the data, and event 3 is form submission, just as test events. Alright, so whenever the page load, we have to hide this because this event message, when the event message will appear whenever the event takes place. So as of now the event is not yet takes place, right? We haven't clicked any of these buttons, so we have to hide this block. So that we can achieve this event message block, by default we will hide it. So how we can do that? Let's take the ID of this one. The ID is a status, and go back to our jQuery. When the document.ready function is ready, we can mention as $, referring to the ID, that is status dot hide. So whenever the document.ready, whenever it touches the script, it will hide this block with ID status, that is this one. So let's see, under error message this block should be hide now. Have you seen the event message under the block has been hidden? It doesn't show anything, right? Alright, so let's do something on each event. Check server status and validate the data and form submission. Based on the event, the message has to appear respective to that event. So check server status, let's work on check server status. Let's create a function. Let's make a comment, check server status, and I'm defining the function as check server status. This is the function, and inside the function I'm going to define, because if you observe here carefully, let's collapse the dismissing, that block we already done. We have a p tag with no content inside this, so we have to call this tag with tag, that is with jQuery we can call this tag by hash and append some text to it. Though there's nothing is exist inside this p tag, I'm going to add some text to this based on this event. So the test is, for example, if you have this function can do some AJAX operations, but this session is not related to AJAX calls, that's why I'm simply mentioning this message. But you can define some AJAX call here and call your backend and do some validations or to bring the data, and based on the data you can display the message here. So here I'm stating that the server is running fine without any issues. Alright, this is the message I'm appending to this p tag. This ID is referring to this p tag, so I appended this text to this p tag. And then what we have to do? Then we have to show, because we already hide this one, and at this time we have to show this block, the status dot show. And this checks server status, we have to call this function from this button. That's why I'm mentioning onClick is equal to check server status. So what it will do, whenever you click this button, it will call this function, this JavaScript function. So this function, check server status, this function will append the text to this p tag. For this tag status message referring to the p tag here, it will append the text as the server is running fine without any issues. And then the status dot show, which is the status, this block, this complete block, this status, because this p tag is inside this status, right? So it will display this one complete block. All right, let's refresh the template here and just refresh it. And when you click on check server status, have you seen it displaying the server is running fine without any issues? This message is related to this event. Alright, have you seen here check server status, and this is belongs to this message and this function. Let's create the second one. The second button, validate the data. So let's create a function for this. So I'm going to define function and validate data, and inside we can define, or you can do an Ajax call to do some validations at the backend. So in this example, just I'm appending some message here. So I'm going to change the p tag text stating that the data is valid. And as usual, we have to make sure this status block showing. So dot status dot show. Alright, and call this function from this button event, the second event, that is on click is equal to validate data. Alright, let's refresh and let's see. So I refresh now and I click check server status, is displaying the message related to check server status. And when I click validate data, have you seen the data is valid? Check server status and validate data. And let's finish the form submission as well. For example, for the form submission, let's create a new function here. Function that is form submission. If you have real form, you can make an Ajax call and bring all the data of the fields into variables and then validate into it. That we will discuss in upcoming sessions. And let's keep it as it is. And change the text as the form is valid. Form is valid and submit it. Alright, and call this function, assign this function to this event, that is button 3, that is on click is equal to this function. So the reason why I'm explaining is that there are some situations in real-time projects we have to display this message based on the event. So for that I given a sample 3 events, and each event is calling to different function, and each function is going to display a different message. So let's refresh now and check server status. The server is running fine without any issues. Validate the data is valid. Form submission, the form is valid and submitted. So for instance, you want to change the message color as well, and the server status I want to display as green, and validated data I want to display as info or different blue colors, or form submission is a different color. That we can do. The server's running is fine, so this is status, say that this is success status, and this is warning, and this is an error. Let's do that small example. So the classes we assign here, because in the Bootstrap I already explained, these are the styles, the colors. You can use primary, secondary, and these names to use the respective style. So in this example I'm going to use success, danger, and warning. Let's do that. For this block, because we are going to display the block, the status block. The status block which we created here, this is status block, it has a class alert success. So let's remove this, because whenever you mention here by default whenever this code is rendered, it will render with this alert class. So alert success is this one. Have you seen? That's why it's displaying in green. So let's remove this class from here. I removed it. And for server status, I want to display as a success message, that is with green. So I want to append this class by using jQuery, that is referring to ID, that is status, that is ID of the element, and add class. What is the class? The class is alert success. Alright, and for this one, add a class as warning. For this, I want to use the class as this one, that is a simple warning alert. So I want to use this style. So for warning, we have to use the class alert warning. So copy this class and let's replace here, add class. Alright, and for this one, I want to use an error class to display any errors. So I want to use an error style, that is red in color. So the error one is the danger. So for danger, you have to use alert ranger. So append this class here. Alright, so before checking our result, if you observe here, we are adding a clauses for different functions. So whenever you add a class, we have to remove the other classes. For example, I will show you. Let's refresh. When I click server status, it is giving success message green. When I click validate the data, it is giving a warning cream color, and form submission, it is giving red. But when I click back the server status, it is not giving the green. Have you seen? The color is not maintained because we haven't removed the classes. So we have to remove. So let's do that. How we can do that? $, and as usual, for this ID, that is ID of this section is status dot remove class. By using jQuery function remove class, you can remove the CSS class type. And here I'm going to mention I want to remove these two, that is alert warning and then alert ranger. That's it. In the same way, for other functions also we have to remove. Here we are using alert warning, so we have to remove the remaining classes which we used. So remaining classes is alert success. So here just mention alert success and alert ranger. So it will check. For this validation function we are using alert warning, so we should remove other styles. Other styles is success and danger. In the same way, in the third function also we have to remove these classes by using jQuery, that is alert success and alert warning. That's it. Now refresh this one and let's check server status, success message, that is green, validate the data, warning, that's by green color, form submission, some errors, that's why we use different style. Let's go back. Have you seen the color has been maintained? That's it. Alright, that's all for today guys. This is how we can use Bootstrap Alerts. It's very easy, I know. So in upcoming sessions we will look into different components, and as also the very important session is how to use this Bootstrap Alerts with form validations. So please stay connected, a lot of stuff is coming ahead, and thank you for watching this video. We will connect back in our next episode. Thank you, bye.